Hello and welcome to another episode of Ast and Stars. In this series dedicated to my Messier challenge, today we're going to discover M29, a small open cluster hidden in the heart of the constellation Cygnus. Unlike the large, spectacular clusters filled with hundreds of bright stars, M29 is a much more subtle object. Yet, it has a particular charm, and it makes an excellent exercise for learning how to photograph open clusters. So let's take a look at what makes M29 interesting and how to capture it. M29, also known as NGC 6913, is an open cluster located in the constellation Cygnus, a region rich in stars and nebulosity at the heart of the Milky Way. It is located approximately 4,000 light-years from Earth and has an estimated physical size of roughly 10 to 15 light-years. The cluster is relatively young compared with globular clusters such as M71. Its stars formed only about 10 million years ago, which is extremely recent on an astronomical timescale. M29 contains a small group of bright stars surrounded by many fainter ones. Like other open clusters, these stars form together in the same stellar nursery. Because M29 is located in such a rich region of the Milky Way, however, it can sometimes be difficult to distinguish the cluster itself from the surrounding field of stars. M29 is interesting because it is a good example of an object that looks simple at first glance, but requires some care when it comes to astrophotography. Unlike nebulae, where the goal is often to reveal extremely faint structures, photographing an open cluster is more about finding the right balance between highlighting the main stars and preserving the surrounding star field. The challenge with M29 is to avoid simply producing a group of bright stars lost in an overly busy background. The Cygnus region contains an enormous number of stars, as well as faint areas of nebulosity that can become visible with enough integration time. An overly aggressive processing workflow can quickly make the image look cluttered and take away from the natural appearance of the cluster. M29 is therefore an excellent exercise in learning how to control stars, contrast, and image dynamics. For this image, I used the equipment listed in the information sheet that I'll show you a little bit later. I should mention that I live in a Bortle 728 sky. For those who are not familiar with the scale, it measures the level of light pollution ranging from 1 to 9, with 9 representing the most severe light pollution. As always, I document each imaging session in my Google Sheets database so that I can keep track of all the important information, including the telescope, camera, mount, filter, total integration time, and the number of exposure. This allows me to compare my results over time and gradually improve my techniques. For this image, I used my Celestron 8SE equipped with a dew shield and mounted on an HEQ5 mount. The camera was an ASI 533 MC used with the Optolong L-Quad filter. I captured 83 60-second exposures and 13 120-second exposures for a total integration time of 6,540 seconds or 109 minutes. Here is the result of stacking the raw images before processing. The processing of this image was intentionally kept relatively simple. After calibrating and stacking the images in Siril, using my calibration frames, I completed the processing using Siril, GraXpert, and GIMP. For an open cluster like M29, the main goal was to preserve the natural appearance of the stars while slightly improving the contrast between the cluster and the background sky. Because the Cygnus region is extremely rich in stars, it is important not to over-process the image. Otherwise, we can lose the depth and natural appearance of the stellar field. Since the main purpose of this series is to discover the object in the Messier catalog, I won't go through every processing step here. These techniques are explained in much more detail in my video dedicated to image calibration and processing. I am actually currently working on a new image processing workflow, and I plan to present it to you as soon as I'm satisfied with the results. With M29, I realized that an open cluster requires a different approach from a globular cluster. The goal isn't simply to bring out as many stars as possible. Instead, it is about creating a balanced image in which the cluster remains clearly identifiable while preserving the richness of the surrounding star field. The main challenge is controlling the bright stars so that they don't dominate the entire image. With nearly 2 hours of integration time, it is interesting to see the fainter stars around the cluster become more apparent. We can also see a variety of star colors throughout the region. If you'd like to photograph M29, here are a few tips. Choose a moonless night whenever possible. Achieve very precise focus. Use exposure times long enough to bring out the fainter stars. Avoid saturating the brighter stars. Use gentle processing to preserve a natural appearance. And take good calibration frames. M29 remains an accessible target with amateur equipment, even under a light-polluted sky. Here is the complete information sheet for this imaging session. You will find the main characteristics of the object, the acquisition parameters, the equipment I used, as well as useful information if you'd like to photograph it yourself. I intend to keep this sheet updated and add new versions to the description below if I revisit this object. I hope you enjoyed this look at M29. Although it isn't one of the most spectacular objects in the Messier catalog, I found it interesting to photograph this subtle open cluster in the heart of Cygnus. This image reminded me that in astrophotography, the most impressive objects aren't always the ones that require the most technical skill. Sometimes the challenge is simply to reveal the beauty of a more subtle object. I'm satisfied with the result I obtained. A future attempt could be interesting without the use of a filter or with the UV-IR filter to see which kind of result we can obtain. If you enjoyed following my Messier challenge, feel free to leave a comment and subscribe to follow the progress of the project. You can also suggest which object you'd like to see in upcoming episodes. I can't promise anything, but you never know. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you very soon for another object from the Messier challenge. Until then, I wish you a clear sky.